All right, so today we have a Subaru Ascent 2023 or something, I don't know. Who cares? That's not why we're here. We have the Subaru Ascent because today we're doing big car versus small car. And that airplane's really great for this. The small car, as you can guess, is the Honda. Hooray! And the big car is this, Subaru Ascent. That's because my mom does not have her Armada right now. It is MIA. So, let's get into it, shall we? This is the big car, the Subaru Ascent. It's not quite as big as the Armada, but it does the job. And I'm just thinking here, it'd be really great if there were suddenly an object to help us compare the size of two cars. That'd be really convenient if we just happen to stumble. Oh, wait, what's this? A random stack of tires out in the middle of nowhere. That's really convenient. That should surely be enough to compare the two cars size-wise. Well, not going to just stand around here. Let's go ahead and open it up and load these things in. As you can see, this thing is a big 3-row SUV. And you know what? Before we load those tires in, let's put the 3 rows up in a livable position. They go like straight up. No one can sit like that. Oh, these straps are actually really convenient. I like them. I like them a lot. And we will do some parkour through here. Here's the middle row seating, by the way, before we get back there. Look how much room I have. So much. Although you can scoot the seat up quite a bit. More than that, actually, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you can scoot it up infinitely. But the first position it locks on is that one. Which, I mean, I still have room. I'm 5'7", and I'm leaning back now. But I still have room. Well, let's go back to the 3rd row. And see, oh gosh, what it's like back here. With the seat all the way up, it's actually not bad. I mean, my legs are almost touching, but not quite. With the seat all the way back, though, it's very cramped. It's very cramped back here. But yeah, you get tons of room in here. Who would have guessed? Big vehicle, big room. And a lot of amenities, charging, cup holders, speaker, and yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, let's put this 3rd row down and let's go load those tires in. All right, just loading the tires in. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Get in. There we go. Just like that, they're all loaded in with plenty of room to spare. You could stack stuff so high. You could get like 8 tires in here. Close it up, and you will see that it is just fine. So yeah, large vehicle, can fit a lot of stuff in it. Who would have guessed? Yeah, but let's get on the road and let's talk about how this thing drives compared to said small vehicle. All right, so here we are in the Subaru and we are driving, and right away, the first thing I notice is how far away that glass is in my rear view mirror. That's kind of something I pay attention to when swapping cars a lot is, man, that glass is so far away in the rear view mirror. It doesn't matter because the visibility is still good, but it's just something I notice. Next thing I notice, that side of the car over there is really far away from me. And that side of the car, I should have pointed on camera. I have to lean over this much to touch it. My Honda, I can basically not lean at all and touch it. Also, while we're here, we are at the usual spot, so might as well see what we can do in the... Oh gosh. Okay, never mind. I thought there was a biker that was going to go in our usual path here. So there's that. And I don't think this thing has a sport mode actually, but yeah, we'll just send it. All right, roll out slowly as we do. Make sure no one's coming. And go! And 160 right there. Awesome. So yeah, here's how it places on the leaderboard, just because, you know, we have to put it on the leaderboard, of course. And it doesn't do too bad. I think it beats a lot of the other cars. Not 100% sure, but we'll see in editing. And yeah, now let's just talk about how the thing actually functions. So as you can hear, it's beeping constantly because the driver assists are really intrusive, and I hate it. But that's gonna be a thing with modern cars. It's just this one, it's really intrusive, and of course if you turn it off, it's a big orange light on the dashboard telling you it's off. And I hate that. I want my dashboard clean. But anyways, this car immediately, the height difference compared to a small car is very noticeable right off the bat. And yeah, that's not necessarily a good or a bad thing. It's a matter of preference, matter of fact. I know a lot of people nowadays, especially in America, they prefer to sit up high because they feel safer that way. And I can understand their viewpoints. Me personally, I disagree. I think it's fine either way. I like sitting lower. But this car, it is very, very much a different driving experience to my Honda, as we will see here in a bit. And it's actually fairly decent for such a large vehicle in terms of driving experience. You get a more powerful engine than a smaller car. You get more room than a small car. You usually get better capabilities than a small car in terms of like when conditions get rougher, whether you're going off-road, whether you're driving in rain, stuff like that. Usually you get a better experience then. And other than that though, we can talk about acceleration, handling, and braking. Which acceleration, you saw the results there. It's obviously faster than the Honda. And I'm sure even with this engine in it, it will beat a lot of smaller cars and stuff, because these are known for being a little underpowered, and I kind of agree, because it's only got a 4-cylinder in it, making like 260 horsepower, I think, and like 277 foot-pounds of torque, something like that. And that's not a lot for a large SUV like this, because I know my mom's Armada, that had nearly 400 horsepower. And I know the new Armadas make over 400 horsepower and like 500 foot-pounds of torque, which is a lot. So, yeah, I mean, even with that much power, the car's not going to be a rocket ship, but it's still going to be better than a lot of smaller cars that they just give no power at all. I mean, really the only thing that holds this back is or it doesn't really hold it back, but it is kind of annoying, is the CVT. Because you know it's going to go wrong, because all CVTs go wrong. You know, I don't care how much you service it. I don't care how much you do all that. The CVTs are just less reliable than a normal transmission. Because if you serviced a normal transmission that much, it'd go even further than a CVT. So it's just all a matter of how the car feels to you, really. But for me, the power difference and stuff, it's not really relevant to getting a bigger car. It's not. Of course, the handling is atrocious compared to my Honda. My Honda is modified for handling though, so that's not really a fair comparison. I drove a Mazda 3 recently, as you saw on the channel, and that thing, it handles really well. And that was only on standard all-season tires and completely stock. So I feel like that one's actually a fair comparison to this thing. And I know it's a little rough comparing handling of two different class vehicles, but that's the point of this. The point of this video is to compare what would it be like if you went from a big vehicle to a small vehicle, or a small vehicle to a big vehicle. And the handling on this thing is poor. It actually grips up fairly well around corners, I've noticed. And really the biggest drawback of the handling is the body roll, because there's a lot of body roll. I mean, even just doing this, I sway from side to side a bunch, and it's not good. It's really not good. That's really one of the gripes I have with SUVs and stuff in general, is that they body roll so much usually. And there's a few that don't, but most of them, they do, and it's a little uncomfortable. So I like a car that's a little more planted. And of course, braking on this thing is surprisingly not as good as I thought it'd be, honestly. I'm trying to find the best way to describe it. I guess it'd be like saying it's good initially, it's good braking initially, but if you get further down in the pedal, it gets rough. It gets rough because it feels like you have all of your braking right at the top of the pedal. You keep going down and you only get marginal gains in braking power. So that's kind of what it feels like to me. And of course, a smaller car, you're gonna have decent brakes on. I've felt a lot of smaller cars with better brakes on them and stuff like that. So of course, that could make a difference for you too if you're concerned about that kind of thing. But really, I don't see a big need for these kind of vehicles. I know I'm single and I don't have a family or anything to deal with, so that's a lot coming from me. But even like people with smaller families, like, you know, a family of 4, you don't really need something this size. If you have a family of 5, like I'm in, maybe you could justify it. My mom certainly did. And it could work for you. But really, this video is more about, as you get later on in life, a lot of people will have to switch from a small car to a bigger car when you start that inevitable family. Me personally, I don't know when that transition will be, if it ever will be. But I know that it'll be important to think about these things. So, going from small vehicle to big vehicle, all of my driving life pretty much, I have been able to experience the difference because my mom's always had massive vehicle and I've always had smaller vehicle. So it's very easy for me to compare these, and the reality of it is modern day vehicles, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard to go from a small vehicle to a big vehicle. I mean, sure, the size is massive, and really in this car especially, it's noticeable. It's noticeable from the rear view mirror and all that, but it's not difficult to get used to. It's really not. I haven't hit any curbs or anything. I haven't, you know, handled way over confidently in this thing or anything like that, really. So you can get used to it. I feel like back in the past, it was probably a lot harder to get used to them because large vehicles like this drove a lot more like trucks. So it would be more of a truck feel. Shut up, please. And it would be a lot harder to get used to. But really, this thing, you have to worry about going from the small, light handling car to something where you have to, you know, make sure in the drive-thru, am I clear on that curb? Am I gonna hit, you know, that kind of stuff. So let's go take a look at the Honda now and see what that is like in comparison space-wise. Alrighty, so now we have the Honda here with the Halloween decorations, and we are going to compare the size with this car. So obviously very much smaller, and yeah, let's go ahead and load these tires up, shall we? See how easy they fit in. Oh, well, that's just comical, isn't it? These are go-kart tires. These are not, okay. Well, we're still gonna load them up. Man, I'm so good at writing bits. There, go in there. Because obviously, they can't go here, otherwise you risk damaging the subwoofer that's already back here. the massive subwoofer that takes up the space of like 2 of those large tires. And one more back there. All right, cool. In all seriousness though, those go-karting tires I got for birthday parties like 10 years ago. It's pretty awesome. Anyways, yeah, actually this car, if you take the subwoofer out and fold down the fake rear seats, I bet it actually could fit those 4 tires in here pretty easily. But I didn't want to do that because taking this thing in and out is kind of a hassle, so I didn't want to mess with it. But there you go. All of them fit just nicely. And not to mention that subwoofer itself is massive and it is fitting in there currently. So yeah, Honda, pretty small, pretty small. And let's hop inside here and we can explore the only row of seating that this car has, which is this first row. And you got a little more driving room actually, because it's so driver focused. They didn't have to worry about rear leg room in the American models. And in the European models, in Japanese models, who cares? Everyone's apparently so small compared to Americans that they can fit even with virtually no leg room at all. So yeah, I guess that's that. But in the second fake row here, even if there were seats, there would not be much room. You can put stuff here, as I've done and as I do. I've put suitcases here, I've put backpacks here. I've done a lot there. So clearly you can do it, but also it's not ideal for carrying stuff around. And of course you'd expect that out of a vehicle this small. And yeah, you'd probably want to look at how much stuff you're going to be carrying around and how often if you were to get one of these. But let's drive it around and let's see what it's like to drive in comparison. Okay, so let's go on a little drive, shall we? So again, first thing that you notice when switching from a big vehicle to a small vehicle is how low down you are. I'm pretty low in this car. I gotta say one thing, I don't really like the driving position of that Subaru very much. It feels very close to the wheel and cramped, so I'm really not a fan of it. But this car is very driver focused, and I'm very much a fan of the driving position here because you get tons of room and you don't feel like you're driving a bus. So I like that. I do like that a lot. And of course, the other things you notice is, once again, I only have to reach this far to touch the other side of the vehicle, which I like. I actually like the closer in feel of smaller cars in that aspect. But I still like to have ample room in the driver's seat to, you know, breathe. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Of course, the handling and stuff is going to be a lot better in this car. I don't even need to prove it. And the acceleration is worse because you have half the horsepower, and it doesn't matter if you have less than half the weight. 130 horsepower is still not a lot. So, of course, this car is slower. Now, in terms of just everyday driving, you could argue that the bigger vehicle is nicer for everyday driving because, you know, you're seeing more. It's more practical in the space sense. Even though for someone like me, it's not very practical still. It's probably still more practical than this car. Just because you actually have space to put things and you have space to transport people around, even if you rarely do, which I rarely do these days, but still, I wish I could transport more people around. Usually when I do, though, it's in the Infiniti, so that's not a big deal. And of course, the Infiniti is about the length of that Subaru, actually. It's just big luxury sedan, and it feels a bit different than the Subaru, size-wise. Feels, I don't know what it is about those two cars, but they both feel smaller than they actually are. And I don't know if that was intentional or what, but that's just the reality of it. But of course, driving this car, you will notice the brakes are a lot better. You don't have to worry about them, you know, like I said earlier, pressing the pedal, getting all the braking, and then pressing it more and getting nothing. This one, it feels very smooth in the braking, and you feel like you can outbrake just about anyone. Also, in this car, you'll notice that the fuel economy is better because it's a small car meant for fuel economy. So the fuel economy is significantly better. I think I was getting like 23 in the Subaru. In this car, I get 40. So that's a big difference. If you like your fuel savings, then, you know, that's something to look at too. Here's one weird thing I've noticed from going from a small vehicle to a large vehicle is the air seems to be a lot more, like the air conditioning seems to be a lot better, honestly. It seems like it works a lot better. It either heats up or cools the cabin a lot faster than the small car, which is kind of weird, honestly. That's kind of just a weird thing I experienced. Maybe it's just because there's so many more vents. In this car, there's only 4 vents for the entire car. In that Subaru, there's like 18 million. So I don't know. Maybe that's a thing that's common with large cars. That's one thing I noticed. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, like I said, this is definitely a thing to think about if you are progressing up and want to get into a bigger vehicle in life. Then you need to know that basically it's going to be a different driving experience. Not as much as you think, but it is going to be different. So let's do a summary here. What do I think about this? Going from a small vehicle to a large vehicle, it's a change. It's always going to be a change, but it's not as bad as you think. Really, the only thing you have to do is just get used to the higher seating position, look out for curbs when you're turning real sharp, and enjoy not having good as fuel economy, I guess. Watch yourself around corners and stopping distances and all that. And yeah, that's really it. So yeah, guys, that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I love reading the comments. And yes, I shall see you guys later. See ya!